What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of the 5 takeaways. We're going to take a look at Tottenham's 2-0 win over Chelsea at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Sunday and see what 5 things we can take away from the game. And let's start off with number 1, and that is Skipp steps up.
And he was obviously the all-important scorer of the opening goal yesterday, which was a massive moment for Ollie Skipp, scoring his first ever goal for Spurs. But that really capped off what was a really good display in the middle of the park and carry on some good form for Ollie Skipp, dominating at midfield, won 5 of his 8 ground duels, 3 tackles, 3 interceptions, and obviously topped it all off with an absolute screamer from the edge of the box, which Kepa maybe could have done better with, but it doesn't take anything away from a great strike from Skippy. And look, it carries on his great form, and considering that this is an academy product we've all had very high hopes for, it's vital that he got back to playing and to that standard he set for himself about a year ago, and he seems to be doing that now, and that's really, really encouraging. And hopefully it softens the blow of Bentancur. And also, after Bentancur got injured, it looked like Sarr was going to be the one to step up, but it looks like Skipp has really grabbed this opportunity with both hands at the moment.
Yeah, he really has. And you're seeing why all these managers, Pochettino, Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, Nuno as well, all thought Skipp has got a big future at Tottenham Hotspur. Jose went as far to say this guy's going to be a future Spurs captain. And you can see with the authority he's playing with at the pitch. I mean, he's 21 years of age, but he plays with such maturity. He plays like a player in his mid-20s, late 20s, literally. And look, we all feared the worst when Bentancur got injured for the remainder of the season. And the start of next season, we're thinking, who's going to step up for us? Who can fill the void that he's left? And Skippy has just slotted in seamlessly, and he's performing to such a high level. So big up to Ollie Skipp, and I'm very excited to see what the next few weeks holds for him. Let's move on to number 2, and that is Workhorse Richarlison.
Yeah, and I thought Richarlison had another game to start yesterday, leaving Sonny on the bench after his goalless display against West Ham. But I think despite not really impacting the game when it comes to threatening the goal, I actually thought his inclusion was probably justified yesterday with a workmanlike performance. 15 ground duels competed for, more than anyone on the pitch, winning 9 of them as well, which is really impressive. 5 tackles, which is second only to Emerson on the whole pitch. And obviously he was involved in 3 of our best moments. There was some good link-up play between him and Kulusevski and I think it was Højbjerg when Højbjerg hit the post. He linked up, and Skipp, sorry, and then he linked up really well when played a great pass out wide to Kulusevski for the opening goal, which led on to Skipp scoring. And then he did some really good work out wide to win the corner for the second goal as well, which ended up putting us 2-0 up. So he did have his moments going forward, although want to see a bit more of him maybe in front of a goal, taking shots and stuff. But I thought he really earned his money off the ball.
Yeah, and I think Chelsea must be just sick to the sight of him, like a constant pest throughout the whole game for them, nudging into them, aggressive challenges, winning duels. I think it was a really good combative display from Richarlison. Yes, he was involved in some good moments, in our best moments going forward, but I'd like to see more from that from Richarlison. We bought him for 60 million in the summer, and I think there is definitely a lot more to come from Richarlison, but it's definitely these 2 starts in a row from him. I think it's got better as it's gone on, so hopefully it keeps going in an upward trajectory for Richarlison. But definitely a good display from him yesterday. But let's move on to the 3rd takeaway, and that is defensive improvements.
So another clean sheet yesterday, which makes it 4 clean sheets out of the last 5 games and 5 clean sheets out of the last 8 games for Tottenham. So definitely tightening up that defensive unit, which has been so troublesome throughout the season, albeit within those games which we have conceded, there has been 4 goals to Leicester and 4 goals to Man City. So we need to start avoiding those kind of days and maybe some of the up and downs if we're really gonna take this defensive improvement forward and make sure that this is consistent. But definitely those 5 clean sheets, Palace away, Fulham away, City, West Ham and Chelsea at home, not easy games, not easy teams to play against, and we've definitely started to improve our backline. We're not leaking as many goals as much as we were at the beginning of the season. We've just got to make sure that it isn't undermined when we go away from home and concede lots of goals. So we've got to make sure we find that consistency, but it seems as though we're starting to get it.
Yeah, and it got to a point this season where every single week we were conceding 2 goals or more, defensive lapses every single week from the likes of Eric Dyer, goalkeeping mistakes from the likes of Hugo Lloris. And it seems as though now we're starting to get our defensive solidity back that we saw at the back end of last season. Let's be honest, it was a carbon copy last season as well. First half of the season, shipping so many goals from individual errors. Then we seemed to sort it out second half of the season. It seems as though a very similar pattern is emerging as well. Yes, we did concede 4 to Man City and 4 to Leicester, but hopefully those are the exception to the rule. And we are really stepping up our defensive capabilities. Eric Dyer has stepped up. Ben Davies has stepped up. Clement Longley performed fairly well in the last couple of games as well. So I just want to see this consistency now from now until the end of the season. And if we do show that consistency from now until the end of the season, we can do something special this season, win a trophy, finish in the top 4. So I'm very happy with what we're showing at the moment, and let's hope we can keep showing that from now until the end of the season. Let's move on to the 4th takeaway, and that is a long time coming.
Can add another long on to that. 5 years. 5 years since we've beaten Chelsea in the league, which was in November 2018 at Wembley, a 3-1 win. And that was our first league win, home or away, against Chelsea ever since 2018. So this definitely has been a long time coming. It's also the first time in the league we've beaten and scored against Chelsea at our new ground. So look, we've had some really bad results against Chelsea of recent years. They've really had the beating of us. And the fact that we hadn't scored against them in our new stadium was definitely embarrassing. But we've put that right yesterday. And hopefully this Chelsea hoodoo is over for now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kept saying time and time again coming into this game, if we don't beat Chelsea now, we're literally never going to beat them. So luckily we did beat them, because let's be honest, it's a poor Chelsea side on current form. On current form, they sit second bottom in the whole of the Premier League, which is absolutely shocking for the amount of talent that they do have. Graham Potter hasn't got to grips with things yet. I think that's 2 wins in his last 17 or 18 games now for Chelsea. So look, the writing was on the wall a bit for Chelsea coming into this game. But with the hoodoo hanging over our heads, we needed to get it right. And that's exactly what we did. We put in a very professional performance, got the win, and hopefully we can go on a bit of a run now against Chelsea. But it was definitely great to get that monkey off our backs and beating Chelsea, and especially in the new stadium as well, because it was getting a bit like, oh my God, like we can't score or beat Chelsea in our new stadium. Like, what the hell is going on? But because it got to a time, right, at the end of White Hart Lane, that we were beating Chelsea quite consistently, and then it reverted back to type. But hopefully we can go on that run again. And I was so happy yesterday, so happy. But let's move on to the 5th and final takeaway, and that is breathing space.
Yeah, and with that win, Spurs now sit 4 points clear of 5th place Newcastle, despite Newcastle having 2 games in hand. But they do have 2 games in hand, but they've only won 1 game in their last 7 in the league, which is some really poor form for Newcastle. 9 points clear of Liverpool, who are down in 7th, although they have 2 games in hand. But still, 9 points is quite a big cushion. Even if they win both those games, they're still 3 points ahead. And 6 points clear of Fulham, who have no games in hand. So a little bit of breathing space now for Spurs when it comes to that top 4 race. Obviously, if Newcastle win both games, we're back into 5th. But with 1 win in 7, absolutely no guarantees they get maximum points out of their 2 games in hand.
Yeah, I mean, Brighton also have like 3 games in hand on us, which is crazy.
Brighton, 3 games in hand, 10 points.
So, I mean, they're up there as well if they win those 3 games in hand. So, but I mean,
a bit of mixed form for them as well, though. Only 2 wins their past 5. So
I think we are the form team. Clearly, we're the form team in the Premier League at the moment with 4 wins and out of our last 5. So I think that when you're looking at things, I think we are favourites now to take that 4th spot. I saw a stat yesterday. They do those percentage probabilities, and I think we're now just over 45% chance of finishing the top 4 this season.
Well, at some point, many points a season where it seemed like, especially between December, January time, it seemed like top 4 was getting further and further away. We were falling further behind, but look, we've stuck at it. There were a lot of times where people calling for Conte to go and all these different things, but we're in a position now where we're getting that consistency back. I think I don't think he's ever lost the dressing room or anything like that. There's just been circumstances surrounding the squad. So let's hope we can keep this consistency from now to the end of the season and have a really good late run in the league and consolidate that top 4 and maybe cup run as well. Still a lot to play for this season, and big players stepping up now in this second half of the season with injuries and things like that. So a lot to look forward to for Spurs.
Yeah, and people like kind of underestimate or don't like take into account what problems we've had this season with the number of injuries. I mean, we've had crazy amount of injuries this season, and you look at a team like Liverpool who also had crazy amount of injuries, and look how bad they're doing this season. We've had crazy amount of injuries to contend with, and we're still in the top 4. We've had our fitness coach pass away, who was very close to the whole squad, which must have taken its toll on the squad. And we've also had our manager needing surgery to remove his gallbladder, who's been out for a number of weeks.
Emergency surgery.
So I mean, like, we've had a lot of like issues to contend with this season, and on top of that, we've had like players like Lloris and Eric Dyer like doing these individual errors week in, week out, it seemed like at one stage. So to be at this stage, at this part of the season, with all those things hovering over us, I think it's a remarkable job. I really do.
Yeah, 100%. And if we can just continue to go on like we are with no mistakes, crazy mistakes that we have been committing from now to the end of the season, we've got a very good chance of achieving something.
Yeah. All right. So there you have it. That is our 5 takeaways from the 2-0 win against Chelsea. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of our takeaways, and put your takeaways in the comment section below. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.